The topic today for today's panel is about corporate challenges for today's CEOs.
I'm Mark Stidham. I'm the CEO of LLR Inc., which is a holding company for a clothing brand called LuLaRoe. Well, this is a family-owned company that we started in 2013, and I am the CEO by default because it had to be me or my wife. One of the things that we have focused on as we built the business, this concept of employees, and as you grow in a rapidly growing environment, how do you bring in the right people? How do you find the people that are going to fit not only the skill set, but your culture? And for me, that's been one of the challenges, and addressing that, we have elevated our culture to a level above skill set. If you don't fit the culture, if you don't understand what we're about, that skill set's not going to be utilized. We're not going to be able to leverage those talents that you have if you don't fit, if you're not a team player. As a private enterprise, we have a lot of latitude in how we run our business. One of the challenges in business is staying focused on who you are and what you do, and not letting the trends and the things that come from outside really have that big of an impact. I have a little mantra that is this: just remember, the main thing is that the main thing is the main thing. Don't let the things that are happening outside really rattle you off of what you're trying to accomplish in your business. And in order to do that, you need to know what the main thing is. I have multiple family members that work inside of the business, and there's a challenge there in how do you balance family and business. We've been very fortunate in hiring people that were connected somehow to what we were doing already. They were either a friend or a relative or a co-worker of a quality individual that we brought in. One of my challenges right now is building that trust, both in our executive team, down through our employees, and then out into our distribution network, and finally to our retail customers.
Question about growth, and as things you've both ridden through some cycles on the economy. What advice would you give for people that are going to or have on how to manage that and not lose quality and service?
The quality and service are the fundamentals, and they can't be sacrificed. And in fact, at points in time in our business, we deliberately slowed the business because we were unable to serve our customers appropriately. And so those are the underpinnings to a long-term business. And one of the other comments that Ray made as he was speaking was the idea that in a public company you're held hostage to the quarterly reports. In a privately held business, you can take a long-term view, and you can say, okay, this is going to hurt right now. It's going to hurt for this quarter or for this month, but ultimately we're going to serve our constituents better if we make this move. 2013 calendar year, we did $3 million in sales. 2014 we did 9.6. 2015 we did 73. And 2016 we ended the year with just over 1.3 billion in sales. I wasn't smart enough to see far enough ahead to tell you what was coming, and if I had told you what was coming, you would have called me a liar anyway, because who could conceive of that kind of growth? We had some strategic alliances with people that were already in place that could help us with that production. We expanded rapidly internally with our fulfillment centers and those things. We went from 37,000 square feet in April of 2015, kept that building and moved into another 130,000 feet in January of 16, and in August of 16 rented 630,000 square feet. All of those facilities are still operational, and recently we just closed on a distribution facility in South Carolina that's another 500,000 square feet. And so we had to move quickly on these decisions, and one of the other things that we've done is that we were very, very conscious of our capital and of our cash flow. We do not have an operating line of credit. We have grown too quickly. We didn't have audited financials, and so the financial markets have been either close to us or too expensive. And so we've had to be very, very disciplined. And what we've done is just basically pour all the assets back into the business. And so being very frugal and then aligning with other vendors and with an executive team that was very nimble allowed us to manage that growth.
Size of your executive team over time, from that start point to where you are today?
My kids are all entrepreneurs, and so as the business was very small in the beginning, my wife said I'd like to have our kids involved. They all had different skill sets, and so I had one that was an accountant, and I had one that was a brand manager, and another one that was in sales, and they came in early on, and they were the first executive team. In the very beginning, it was a family enterprise. And then we brought in a production manager who had extensive experience, and we brought him in early, like in early 2014. And then we brought in a CFO. I was wearing the CFO hat until it got to a certain size that I just couldn't do all of that, and brought a CFO in about a year and a half ago. I handed off the warehouses about a year and a half ago. And at that time we expanded. So our leadership team, we also brought a CTO, a technology officer, and began to develop some of our programs internally because we couldn't find off-the-shelf technology that would really meet our needs. But the team was fairly much rounded out about a year and a half ago, and we run with there's about 12 members in our C-level suite, and we keep it very nimble.
I guess my question, Mark, is for you. My wife, she hates to shop, but the other day she came home with clothes she loved. And I asked her where she got them, and she said her friend Denise. What confused me is Denise is a housewife, but apparently she just bought $10,000 of your clothes and put them in her house to sell. My question for you is, how do you get a housewife to spend $10,000 on clothes to resell?
Well, first of all, when you see Denise, tell her thank you. Okay.
I will.
And,
I will.
Again, this being an intimate audience, I will share with you. We started, the way you get them to do that is that they make money. My wife and I looked and said, there's got to be an opportunity that would allow women to work part-time and make enough money to make it worth that time, effort, and energy. It's tragic, and that if you're not a career, if you don't have a career as a female in this country, it's very hard to get a job that pays enough to make it worth leaving the home. And so for those women who went to college and then wanted to have a family and have children, we felt like if we could provide a business model that would allow them to actually make enough money to make it worth their while, that would be attractive to them. We're not selling a dream or a theory, or if you hang in there long enough, you can literally start your business, open your product, have a sale, and be profitable that minute. You begin to be profitable.
I was just curious how you, from a practical standpoint, implement your culture and get that to all your employees so they understand it.
It definitely starts at the top, and then what we do, we actually have a culture officer who it's his job to discuss. They have a program in our hiring department, and then one of the things that we like to do also is we'll bring our retailers when they come in for training or for a convention or whatever. We give them access to the warehouse, and we let the warehouse workers see what they're putting in that box, that it's not just a box of clothing, it's somebody's business, and that they take pride in that. And then the retailers, on the other hand, get to see how hard these people work to pack the boxes, and it creates a lot of unity in that environment. And one of the things that I was most excited about is my warehouse manager went without asking me, made some huge banners with our branding on it and hung them in the warehouse, and it says delivering hopes and dreams. And so the people that are working in the warehouse understand it's not just a job throwing stuff in a box, but that box means something to the recipient.
I have a young friend in Salt Lake who is going to become a distributor for you, and I'm excited to watch it. She is young, and it's opening some doors for her that she didn't have before. So since you're so widely distributed, I looked at your map on your website, how do you get all the way down to that young 25-year-old who's launching a business and make sure she's getting the right kind of training and understanding of business and ensure her success over the long term?
We have internal training programs, but we also, sometimes we're referred to as an MLM company, and I say, okay, I'll take that, but we're multi-level management. And so not marketing. The marketing happens right down at the bottom. That's where the product gets sold to a consumer. But in the middle, as the company grew, we didn't set out to do this. We didn't have the idea before, but we needed some mid-level management. And it was obvious that the best people to fill that role would be those who had already had some success in the business. And so we have a structure of leadership that's in the retail side of the business. And we have ongoing leadership trainings. We have tours where we go out into the field. We have convention coming up in about 2 weeks where we're going to have about 20,000 of our retailers coming into Southern California. And so we're very aware that a lot of these people, and it's not just women, there's families, there's husbands and wives working together, there's men in the business, but a lot of them, this is their first crack at entrepreneurism. If you don't start with the very basics, you make assumptions that they know things. And so things as simple as open a separate banking account, keep keep books. Some of those things that they're just not intuitive to them. And so we have both corporate initiatives to go there and training in the field from their field leaders and the people that brought them in line. One of the moves that we just made, we had a sponsor program that paid when people ordered product. We finally have the technology to track actual field sales, and so all compensation now is tied to field sales. And so if your friend isn't successful, nobody's going to make any money. So the people that brought her into the business have a real vested interest in helping her and giving her that guidance. I know there have been times in our business where I've been a little tone deaf and they were telling me this isn't working, and I say, yes it is. And they say, no it's not. And eventually I have to stop and look, and information I was getting wasn't accurate, and so my assumptions that everything was okay weren't true. So be open to the feedback that tells you what you need to do, and be willing to let go of your dogma and do the things that you need to do, and stay focused on your business. Don't let the outside noise distract you.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank our panelists.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.